Okay. Good afternoon, and thank you for joining us this afternoon for our fourth and final session of our e-commerce platform comparison. I'm Cassidy Delorto Blackwell from The Land Connection, and I am still your host. If you missed any of our previous sessions, you can catch all of those on our YouTube channel, and we are also going to post today's session on that channel as soon as we are able. So we're going to continue our exploration of 3 e-commerce platforms. Pardon me. Food for All, Open Food Network, and Local Food Marketplace. So far we've looked at how these platforms work for food hubs, for wholesale, for CSAs. And today we're going to look into kind of the most straightforward use case, selling direct to consumer and using your online store like an online store. So as always, we are joined by representatives from each of the platforms, as well as folks that actually use the software for their farm or food business. And I apologize, Pammy, I left Cammy on this slide, but this week we'll be kicking off with Andrea Davis-Cetina from Quarter Acre Farm, who is going to be joined by Pammy Monette from Food for All. And then we're going to follow up with Liz Whiteman from High Country Food Hub, who is joined by Amy McCann from Local Food Marketplace. And finally, we will finish up with Melissa Levenstein from Hidden Penny Farm, who is joined by Lori Wayne from Open Food Network. I will give you some standard Zoom housekeeping before we kick it off for real. Please do keep your microphone muted during our guests' presentations. After each presentation, we'll have time for Q&A, and if you are more than welcome to unmute yourself to ask a question at that time. If you have a pressing need to talk, please use the chat box, and you can find that by moving your cursor over the bottom of your Zoom screen and finding that little bubble, the little cartoon word bubble. We will have plenty of time for folks to talk, so don't worry. It would be great to know who's here, so if you want to go ahead and introduce yourself in the chat, that would be great. And I am also going to launch a quick poll. It's not the poll. To see who is here. So I just launched that. It's only 2 questions to tell us a little bit about who you are and how you, or if you use e-commerce software currently. I am joined by Jacqueline Evers, who is managing our technology and monitoring that chat. Both Jacqueline and myself work for The Land Connection, which is a nonprofit agricultural support organization located in Champaign, Illinois, and serving communities throughout Illinois and the Midwest, and through offerings like this webinar throughout the country or anywhere where people can get on the internet. We offer training, resources, and support to farmers, food businesses, and eaters so that together we can realize that a more just, equitable, and sustainable food system that we know is possible. Please visit us online at thelandconnection.org. And while you are there, go ahead and sign up for our newsletter. We have a pretty awesome weekly newsletter, so give it a read. I would also like to thank Illinois Farm Bureau for making this series possible. This is being offered in part of their monthly business development program. So if you haven't checked out the other offerings available, please do visit them online to see all of that great content. They also, you can also get signed up for the Illinois Specialty Crop Conference coming up in January while you're over there. And I would also like to say a quick thank you to the Land Connection Soil Builder sponsors, Compeer Financial and Illinois Farm Credit for supporting all of our work. So thank you. And that's all my slides. So now we're going to move on to the main event. We're going to give each pair of platforms and producers about 20-25 minutes to share their experience with the software, highlight anything unique, interesting, helpful, and explain how it works for them and their business. And we'll give, after each group goes, we'll do about 5 minutes of Q&A from the crowd. And then we'll have a whole lot of time at the very end to do open Q&A of everybody. So this week we're gonna start with Food for All, followed by Local Food Marketplace, and closing with Open Food Network. So I would like to hand it over to Andrea from Acre Farm and Pammy from Food for All.
Thanks, Cassidy. I'll pull up my screen here. We have a little slideshow to share out, and then yeah, we'll stick around for questions. Like you said at the end, I might be driving to get my kids, so I apologize about that, but I will be tuning in on the phone, so hopefully we can help you guys out. So yeah, my name's Pamela Monette. I'm with Food for All, and we have Andrea joining us, and she's a farmer that uses our technology. She's going to talk about that at the end of this. And so I think a lot of you guys are familiar with Food for All by this point, but for those of you who are joining us new to this series, I'll do kind of a quick background. So I started working for Food for All in April of this year. I came from OSU Extension Service, and I am now a farmer that uses Food for All. So we've really been ramping it up in the last year or two, adding new functions and features, but it has been around since 2015. And, you know, we understand as small producers, a lot of you guys are selling through different avenues. So you might not be only running an online store or only doing farmers market. You're kind of, you know, you're diversifying how you're selling your product. And so our main mission really is to just help you increase your sales by making it easy for customers, especially new customers who might be new to local food, to find you online. So we try to design the infrastructure so it complements your in-person sales, you know, your other direct marketing like farmers markets or farm stands. So it can really, you know, complement that instead of replacing it, is kind of how we look at it. And we have tried to design it so that it's, you know, simple and efficient while also being customizable. So it's kind of a tricky balance, I think, to, you know, just to ensure that it's simple to use and easy to kind of set everything up. And then you can manage all of your orders that come in through the system efficiently through your order list and different functions. And, you know, a big part of it too is we are starting to kind of try and offer a little bit more marketing consulting, because when new farmers especially come to us and they want to use an online platform, they often kind of need help finding customers. And so we are kind of trying to help in that role as well. But really, we set your online store up so that you can maintain your own branding. And then it's kind of up to the farmer to push that store out to your customers and reach them however you can by telling your story, email marketing, you know, social media, stuff like that. And so it's important for us that that story kind of stays intact the whole time with your online store. And it's just a link we provide you once everything is set up and you have your products uploaded and priced and everything set up. Then it's just a link that you get that you can link to from your website or from your social media. And folks will just be taken to your online store and Food for All. And I think the biggest thing that probably separates Food for All from, you know, some of the other e-commerce platforms is we're not operating on subscriptions. So it's free for farmers to use. We don't have subscription fees monthly for you to use it. There's a one-time setup fee. And then after that, you're kind of off and running. And I think that's important, especially as a farmer and maybe a small to mid-sized farmer where we don't have a lot of, you know, money to play around with. And so subscription kind of, you know, cuts into that a little bit more than it would at a larger farm. And so for me, that's important because it kind of, decreases the barrier of entry into a lot of these e-commerce platforms. And the way that our technology is funded is actually through buyer paid transaction fees. So at the end of each order, when a customer is checking out, we tack on a percentage, 2.5% plus 95 cents per transaction that the buyer then pays to support the farmer's use of the program. And we can work around that with subscriptions if you're not comfortable with that, but that's kind of the default pricing model. And so, like I said, it just makes it a little easier for someone who's curious about e-commerce to get in online and get set up and use it without, shelling out monthly subscription fees. We're really here to help. I talk with every farmer that signs up one-on-one, or I try to, and just make sure I understand what their needs are and make sure that they know how to use the system, everything's set up correctly, and, just kind of help troubleshoot some of the tech stuff. And so that's really important to me as well, is to have that kind of one-on-one consultation. And so that's included in your setup fee that you'll get to talk to either myself or Cami when you register, and we'll make sure to get you all set up. So as far as direct to consumer, like Cassidy says, that's really the bread and butter of a lot of these e-commerce websites for producers. And we do offer wholesale capabilities and other marketing avenues that you can sell your products through. But for just a simple, one customer retail transaction, it's really well designed for that. And so it's customizable in the sense that you as a producer set up your pickup locations or delivery options. You set up kind of your order window. So when customers go to your website, they'll see, all right, all the orders need to be in by Thursday at 8 p.m. And then pickup for that, pickup every week is downtown, some kind of central location from noon to 2. And so folks will see that when they're going to check out, so there's no surprises, and they'll get an email receipt when they complete their order. Credit card is the default payment just because it's, simple and it's easy to move the money around in that sense. But we do have the ability for folks to pay with cash or check. You can also select pay by EBT in person if the producer is certified as a certified EBT producer. You have to go through a process for that with USDA. You can also offer delivery if that's something that your farm or your business is able to offer. That's kind of up to you. I know a lot of farmers are playing around with that right now because a lot of new buyers to local food, especially, I feel like kind of want to click, submit their order, and they want it to show up on their doorstep. And that's not available for everyone, or that's not really an option for everybody. But if that is something that you feel your customers want and value, you can integrate a delivery service into your online store, and you can charge for that if you need to. So you would just set a radius, of like whatever, 40 miles, and then you can charge a flat fee to deliver to that radius. Andrea is going to talk a little bit about how she uses our point of sale system. So we also have a point of sale system that's integrated into your Food for All account. And so you can take orders on, in person or on demand. And she was saying how that's kind of important. If something comes up and they haven't pre-purchased anything for pickup, you can input an order on your phone and it'll deduct from your inventory that you set into our system. And then another way that folks use our platform to sell directly to consumers is, it's a little like one step removed, but it's through online marketplaces, or online farmers markets are the most popular use case for that. And so that is one avenue that you can is essentially join a marketplace that's already set up, and your products will show in that marketplace shopping page. So that's a shopping page that highlights multiple vendors, like I said, an online farmers market, and they kind of coordinate the pickup and aggregation and all of that logistics, but you can participate in those marketplaces. And again, one key thing that I think is important for just product management, inventory management, is it's all deducting from the same buckets of, your different products for beef or vegetables or whatever you've set up. You want all your orders to make sure that they're deducting from that inventory that you set so that you are not overselling, and you can kind of manage that in one place. And so this is just an example of what an online store kind of looks like at a glance. Again, you would get a link directly to your store, and it would show up with, your banner and your name and all of that good stuff. Nothing too surprising here, but it's a typical checkout situation where you would have all of the products show up that you have input into the system with prices, and then you can kind of go through and fill your cart essentially, and then check out. And again, all of the pickup and delivery options will be emailed to you as a confirmation. And then you as a producer can, once the order window is closed, go into your account, check your order list. You can run different fulfillment reports and stuff like that, and pick reports. And then you have your information that you need, each week in order to fulfill those orders. And so, that's, kind of some examples of how folks are using, selling direct to consumer through Food for All. And again, this is direct to consumer, even though it's online. I think you can still build a relationship with customers online. It's not ideal maybe, but it's just kind of the way that things are going. And it's the way I think some customers like to buy food these days. And so, if you think it's a value added thing to your business and you can add and reach new customers, I think e-commerce is really ideal. But again, you're really going to be focusing on those other face-to-face, customer relationships at your markets and your farm stands as well, or your CSAs. So think of it as kind of a value added service that you can offer. And I'll let Andrea, we have a farmer from Maryland who's going to talk about how she uses Food for All. So go ahead, Andrea.
All right. So I'm Andrea Davis-Cetina, and I have Acre farm. We grow certified organic vegetables and seedlings. We also do some value added processed prepared food items. And really, I found Food for All back in 2020. I had just been kind of, before the pandemic, starting to research a better way to sell our seedlings, because I do a wide range of vegetable seedlings. And my problem pre-pandemic was that during the seedling season, which for us runs from April through September, I would email my farmer market customers saying here's what I'm going to have available this week. See you Saturday. And I would get sometimes an emailed request. Okay, I'll take this tomato, that kale plant, this, that, and the other thing. And I'd have it set aside for them to pick up. But of course they didn't pay for it, And so I was like, man, I'd really like it where they could just go on, order, pay, and then pick up at the market. So I'd started researching, and I really liked the way that Food for All was set up, because I didn't know how much people were going to use this. So I was really hesitant to go with a company that had a lot where you had to pay a bunch of money. And I didn't know, I was kind of guessing that my customers would like this. No one had ever requested it before. So then the pandemic happened, and I had a month to figure out what to do for April, the beginning of the season. And my other concern at the time with the pandemic was that our farmers markets might get shut down. And that was the only way that I was getting to my customers. So I really loved being able to have an online store where the pickup so we do a pickup at the farmers market, and then we do a pickup basically at the farm. So I kind of felt okay, I can reach my customers, I can get paid, and it doesn't matter if the farmers market shuts down because of the pandemic. And so it was a great success. Customers really loved it. Nobody ever questioned the fee that they get from Food for All, the community supported software fee at the bottom of their bill. I explain that on my website, where I have the link to the shop page, but like it's never been a conversation that my customers have brought up. Like they totally understand the point of it. And as the mix of our products is kind of unique. It's not really, but as far as like looking for an online store where I would be able to easily list, 3-inch seedling pots, and also list garlic by the pound or tomatoes by the pint, and also be able to list, we sell pico de gallo and ceviche and guacamole, and we sell those by the pint, and we want to have all the ingredients listed. And so each of these items, which for some platforms that I looked at, some would work and some wouldn't, Food for All like has, when you set up your listings, you can easily plug in like these different things. So, and we also tend to sell out of certain items at the farmer's market. And so that has been a big incentive for our customers to use our online store with Food for All, because they are paying and pre-ordering, and it doesn't matter, what time they show up to the farmer's market, it's going to be there. So we get a lot of customers that's why they're ordering, because they're going to show up to the market in the last hour and they want to make sure that they can get everything. And then the other piece that we really utilize is the POS system. And so for us, pre-pandemic, we only took cash and check. We did not take credit cards. But it kind of felt like, well, we're letting people order online, and they're paying with a credit card. So it'd be really weird for them to come to the market and then not be able to do that. So, for me, when I was looking at the different companies, it was like, I needed a company that also had the POS system, because I didn't want to have Square and like another thing, particularly when it comes to our seedlings. Those are, I only have a certain amount of certain types. And my concern was that I'd be selling them at the market and maybe someone would be at home ordering for pickup on Sunday. And I didn't want to like double sell something. So the POS system we use for taking credit cards, and it's been great. And it has also allowed us to do much bigger sales. The other piece I like of the POS system is that, as well as having all of your itemized items that you have put onto your shop, that you also, there's just kind of a generic other. So for example, we have t-shirts that are just for us, like the staff. And I had a customer that like really, really wanted to buy a t-shirt. And I'm like, okay, we don't sell these to everyone. And so I was like, it's going to be $25. And I expected him to give me cash, because it was just kind of like this thing that I was doing. And then he like hands me a credit card, and I was like, oh, okay. Cause like, we don't have this in our, inventory, but it was easy just to add that in kind of there's a miscellaneous kind of bar at the bottom that you can put a description and the cash amount. So we've had a couple instances like that have happened. The other thing, which Pammy kind of mentioned about the on-demand aspect, and this might seem really basic, but for me, it was like kind of a mental shift where I think about like, okay, I'm at the farmer's market. I am ready to accept your payment. I have, I can take your credit card. I can take your cash. And we've had some situations where people on the fly have reached out to us about buying something, or kind of special situations where they're coming to the farm and they've already communicated like, oh, I'll bring cash, I'll just pay cash, so I'm, just thinking that, okay, they're going to give me cash, but they show up and they want to pay with a credit card. And I literally almost told someone, well, no, I can't accept that. And then I realized, like I can just go on my phone, and, the POS system works at any time. And so that has been a little bit of an eye opener, and making for the customer it a smoother transaction all around. So we're big fans of Food for All, and it really utilizes everything that we need for it. And I also love the reports on the back end. So when I'm keeping my records and putting things into QuickBooks, I can pull everything that I need to keep detailed records on what I actually sell.
Thanks, Andrea. Yeah, that's it for us, Cassidy. We'll kind of stick around in the background for questions. Thank you.
Great, thank you, Pammy and Andrea. I'd like to open it up if any, oh, and she's got the contact information up there, so please do reach out if you are interested. If I would like to open it up to questions. And we don't have a huge group of audience here, but I'm also, anybody on the panel is welcome to ask questions as well. And feel welcome to just, unmute yourself.
One question we get a lot is, do you have to download an app? And no, you don't. It's all web-based, so it'll function on your phone. It's a web-based app, so there's no downloading or anything. You can access it from any web browser. Just a note there.
Mm-hmm. All right, and I'd say let's move along, and we'll do more questions at the end. All right, thank you very much, Pammy and Andrea. Okay, so next up, we're gonna move on over to Liz from the High Country Food Hub and Amy from a local food marketplace.
All right, thank you so much. I'm going to get my screen sharing going here. Hopefully we'll be in the right spot. Yay. Okay. Awesome. All right. Thank you so much for having us, Cassidy, and for all the other panelists. This has been a fun 4 sessions, I guess, almost 8 weeks now. And I'm excited to have Liz here from High Country Food Hub. I'll let Liz tell you a little bit more about their operations and how they utilize our platform. I'm going to just kind of kick us off and give everybody some basics and a really very brief demonstration, but wanted to just invite anyone to reach out. Of course, if you ask questions here, we're happy to answer them. But if you come up with a question later, or maybe you're watching this recording, feel free to reach out to us. Our contact info is here. Would love to hear from folks about what questions you have. So we're going to do a quick intro, do a little bit of a behind the scenes look at the platform from a retail consumer type experience. And then I'm going to turn it over to Liz, who's going to walk through and tell you a little bit more about how High Country Food Hub utilizes the platform. And then, of course, we'll hopefully get some questions along the way. We've been around since 2009, so we hit 12 earlier this year, which is pretty exciting. We started the company then, myself and my business partner, to help relocalize our food system. And enable small farms to be profitable through technology. So that's sort of our overarching mission that has not changed. But we've continually worked on doing a better and better job every year to reach those goals. We now serve over 350 food hubs and markets and over 12,000 farms and producers on the platform across the US and Canada. And so it's a widely adopted platform for all sorts of different sales and all sorts of different types of businesses. You're going to hear from High Country in a few moments. They are, of course, a food hub. We also work with lots of producer cooperatives, some consumer cooperatives even. especially with the pandemic, we onboarded over 100 farmers markets onto the platform in 2020. And then, of course, various online markets, and then farms and producers, and they use it to sell everything. They're all their sales channels. So when folks come to us, they've got some wholesale, maybe they have some retail, they've got a CSA, they go to the farmers markets, or they have a farm stand. What our platform brings to the table is the ability to do all of your sales in one system without having different systems to do all those different things, but also to create a customized experience for each of those different types of buyers. So the other really key thing, in addition to just integrating those sales channels and having that really customized experience, is that the platform is really scalable. And hopefully Liz will share a little bit about their experience on that, because they've been utilizing the platform since they started their hub back a number of years ago. I'm losing track of how many years it's been, Liz. But anyway, they're a really good example of folks starting with the platform and continually adding and adopting new features as their business grows. The platform has been around since, like I said, 2009. So it's proven and it's really comprehensive. Really all the different things that you might be doing operationally or sales wise, or the different tracking or different sales channels you might want to enter, have likely already been done in the system, and we have solutions in place for you to do that. It's a white label system. So we're not sending you to local food marketplace, your customers, to local food marketplace to find your farm or find your food hub or your online market. We create unique URLs for each of our customers' shopping experiences. So it's just your site. And so that enables us to match your branding, and we'll see a couple of examples of that here in a moment. We also think it's really important that you own your own data and your web presence. So we are not, sort of keeping that information from you. It's all really accessible. And we think it's really important for your business continuity, risk management, et cetera. And it's your data that is yours. We also do not charge percentages of sales or transaction fees on either end, on the buyer or the seller. We in research find that having those types of fees is a detriment to one party or the other, whoever's paying the fee. And so we really create solutions that are just sort of standard pricing, like you would find in other types of industries. Okay, so with that, I'm going to take us to a quick demo. Liz may show you their site a little bit later. I have another example site here that wanted to bring up just to give you all a sense of what a real shopping experience might look like. So there's a customer of ours in New Jersey that utilizes the platform. I can't remember if we've used the same one in other sessions or not, but this shopping page is something that we host, we provide support for, and what you can see here is that it matches the branding of their entire web presence, all the way down to fonts and colors, and as well as the menu experience on their website versus the shopping page that we're providing to them. Okay, I'm going to take us to our demo site. I like to go to a real site just because sometimes it can be confusing seeing our logo in the upper left-hand corner of my demo site. Your site, of course, will not have that. It'll look more like the Harvest Drop site, but with your logos and colors and things like that. Okay, so shopping is really straightforward. It's can be this sort of photo-centric experience. If you also have some wholesale customers, a lot of our customers will save this list view as the default for wholesale buyers, and then maybe the grid view for retail customers. That can be really helpful. And just giving your buyers an experience they are familiar with, that they might be buying in other sort of online presence opportunities. Your customers, of course, can shop by category if you've got a lot of different products, filter by producer if you're like High Country and you work with a bunch of different producers. Sometimes your customers really like certain farms, as well as attributes. So items can be tagged with SNAP eligibility or double up or any of the other growing attributes that customers might find important for their needs. And you can tag items with all these different attributes and even create your own custom ones. The list here is, I'm looking at my featured products. Those will pop to the top of the list, anything that you tag as featured. And then your customers are just creating an order, just like they would in any sort of shopping experience. We do offer an integrated subscription experience as well. We're not going to dive into that here today, but all the products can be sold in multiple units. They can share the same inventory. So we've got 195 bunches of chard, or 12 bunch cases. There's 16 of those. They're sharing the same inventory. All the products, you can upload images for each product and have information. Some people put recipes and things like that about the product in the more detailed view. But the nice thing here is the customers can just be shopping and adding items to their order as they go, and creating a cart like they would be familiar with. The one thing that is a little bit different about the shopping experience that might be a little bit different here. I'm just going to update my quantity. There's an order minimum on my site here that I hadn't gotten to. So when customers order, it's an order period based system. So I'm shopping for my order on Saturday and I have till Friday at 2. Well, after I confirm the order and I'm telling the system how I want to pay, and you can have different payment options, both electronic and non, I'm suggesting them to select a pickup time. We do support tips and donations and other sort of add-ons to your order total, depending on what types of things that you might want to add. It's optional, of course, too. So in terms of ordering, the thing that is unique is that even though I've confirmed that order, I can come back and add additional items. They don't need to text me. They don't need to go somewhere else to buy the items. Up until my order deadline of Friday at 2, I can go and add more products to that order, which results in substantially larger orders. When we implemented that feature about 5 or 6 years ago, it expanded average order size by about 30%. And so that's will result in additional sales. Your customers can do everything on the storefront here in terms of managing their account, seeing all their orders, managing their subscriptions, and making any updates that they might need. So that's the customer facing side. On the back end side of things, you have the ability to manage all of your, if you're in a multi-farm setup, you can see your whole roster of producers. I have my full dashboard that orients me for my sales comparisons or summaries, just to kind of keep me on track and give visibility to what's happening in the business throughout the year. And so all of these details are managed in here all the way through your customers, your orders. We have a full accounting for processing payment and managing payments, and then a full report system, as well as options for packing orders and doing home delivery or business delivery as well. So All right, with that, I'm gonna go ahead and, oh no, I need to stay sharing, don't I? Hang on for one more. Sorry, Liz.
Yes,
I'll get-
please. That's
I'll
okay.
get there in 1 second. All right, we're there. Okay, Liz, let me turn it over to you. Thanks so much for being here, and you'll just have to tell me when you want me to go to a new slide. So,
Sure.
yeah.
The slideshow is not still shared for me. I'm
Oh,
not
it's
sure
not?
if it is for other people.
Okay, probably because I didn't press the right button. Okay, I think we're good now.
All right.
Is that better?
Yep.
Okay, awesome, cool.
All right. Thank you.
Yeah,
My name is Liz Whiteman. I'm the operations director for Blue Ridge Women in Agriculture, which is the nonprofit that oversees the High Country Food Hub. You can go to the next slide, Amy.
okay.
So the High Country Food Hub is an online farmers market. We have about 80 to 90, depending on the week, local producers who are selling through our platform. We have been selling online since 2017 and have facilitated almost $1.8 million in sales in the past 4 years, which has been pretty incredible. We started as a central storage location. So we're in an old warehouse. That's where this photo you can see on the left-hand side is taken in front of. We have 3 walk-in freezers, and as of today, we have 3 walk-in coolers as well. So we are located in Boone, North Carolina, which is a small mountain town in the northwestern part of North Carolina. And one of the big problems for our producers was that we don't have a processing facility for livestock in our county. So producers would have to take their animals off the mountain a couple hours away to have them processed. And in order to make that trip economical, they'd have to take numerous animals at a time. And then they didn't have space to store that meat on their farm. So we had farms in our area who had 15 to 20 chest freezers in barns on their property. So we started out by renting storage space, frozen storage space mostly, to farmers, and quickly sold out of that storage space and realized that if we had all of this inventory, that we might as well try to help farmers sell that. So one of the best things about Local Food Marketplace to us is that it allows all 80 of our producers to manage their own inventory. The software is really intuitive, and farmers never believe me when I tell them that, but almost all of our producers do manage their own inventory. We do manage it for a few, but they're setting their own prices, they're setting their own weekly inventory. It's really great hands-off process for us. We serve retail, CSA, restaurant, and institutional customers. And you can go to the next slide, Amy. Thank you. So we currently aggregate orders for about 200 customers per week. Pre-pandemic, that was about 100, and about May of 2020, we skyrocketed to almost 550 customers a week. Our weekly sales went from about $3,000 a week to a high of, I think, $30,000 in 2020. And the great thing about Local Food Marketplace for us was that we already had these systems set up and farmers were familiar with them. We're a tourist town. So when restaurants shut down, a lot of the farmers who were selling cases of salad mix and carrots and ground beef to restaurants were able to really easily divert that inventory to an online inventory that they were already familiar with. So we really felt like we were ahead of the game with that, and it made that kind of roller coaster pandemic year a lot smoother than it otherwise would have been. We currently have 2 distribution days, and we have 4 sites. So we have 1 main location and 3 satellite pickup locations. We're soon adding 2 more satellite pickup locations. And LFM has made it really seamless for us to be able to integrate that, go from one ordering period to more ordering periods. The way that our marketplace works is that the market is open for customers to shop from Thursday at noon until Monday at midnight. As Amy was talking about, customers can add to their order at any point during that time after they've confirmed their original order. And producers can also change their inventory at any point during that time. We try to ask them to not reduce their inventory, especially if they've already made sales. But especially for producers who are selling at a Saturday farmers market, they can go in on Saturday night and say they have 20 pounds of carrots left. They can update that and people are still shopping. The market closes Monday at midnight, and then we have producers deliver the inventory that's not stored at our location all day on Tuesday. We sort all of that produce, meat, soaps, things like that on Tuesday afternoon and Wednesday morning, and then we distribute that to customers on Wednesdays and on Thursdays. As Amy mentioned, there is a subscription module that we make use of. It has been something that we have used primarily for restaurant customers who are placing the same order every week. So we have one restaurant that orders 4 gallons of heavy cream every week to make ice cream. They've set that up in our system. They don't have to think about it. It automatically gets added to their order. It's automatically confirmed. And the producer knows to expect to produce that much heavy cream every week unless they get advance notice that the customers put the subscription on hold. We use that for frequently purchased items like salad mix, gallons of milk, bulk apples. And then we also actually use the subscription for CSA distribution. We have some farms who actually distribute their CSA through us, and we add a $2 a week convenience fee to the cost of that CSA, which essentially creates a habit for customers that they're like getting the confirmation from our software. And we find that typically people are adding additional products like milk or seedlings, things that wouldn't otherwise be included in their CSA. So we've seen it as a net benefit. You can go to the next slide. We have been using Local Food Marketplace since the beginning of the High Country Food Hub, which means that the software has been used for longer than I was around for. But our finance coordinator who made the decision about the software often talks about how she really appreciated that the software was created by people who ran a food hub and were farmers and really understand the needs of farmers and the needs of people who are aggregating orders for 10s to 20s to hundreds of customers a week. We really love that we have so much data at our fingertips. We meet annually with every farmer who works with us, and we pull sales reports, we pull comparisons of what a certain product, what was listed that week and what was sold. And we find that that really helps to inform production planning for producers. And the software is really intuitive. So it means that farmers are able to pull these reports themselves. We're not having to pull reports and share them. Once we teach someone the capabilities, they're really able to learn that quickly and easily. The customer interface, as Amy showed you, is really great. Our site looks a lot like what she showed you. It's a really easy to learn and easily digestible platform. And one of, I think, my favorite things about LFM is the support. We have found that when they come out with an update and say they're going to be phasing out a part of the software that we've used really heavily, we've given feedback and that hasn't been phased out. And we've really appreciated that they're so responsive. We've had times that they've had to get on the phone with us and walk us through setting up satellite pickup locations and things like that. And Amy's team has always been super responsive to us. Yeah.
Thank you, Liz. I think we can open up the floor to any questions.
Yeah, thank you, Amy and Liz. That was great. And again, folks, if you have any questions, please feel welcome to just go ahead and unmute and let us hear your burning questions. Well, I've got a list going, so if people don't, and we'll have some going.
Okay. Great. Well, thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you both. This I feel like too is interesting that this has been kind of the most discussion we've had of the pandemic during this entire conversation that we've been having, I think. But I do think it's kind of where e-commerce got onto a lot of people's radar, or at least made them realize the need. And it's a need that's going to stick with us beyond the pandemic. So it's good to have you guys all here telling us about what you do. Okay, so let's move on to our final pair. We have Melissa from Hidden Penny Farm and Lori from Open Food Network.
Yay, thanks, Cassidy. Yeah, you're right. The pandemic somehow had this effect of, making local food like evolve from being something that's kind of cool to something that's like, oh, we better support this because this is going to keep us alive type of thing. And we experienced that too. So I probably won't talk any more about the pandemic than that. I think everybody experienced, multiple hundreds of percentage points of growth during that time. And we're all just kind of learning to navigate this new world. Yeah, so I'm Lori Wayne. I'm the project director for the Open Food Network in the US. And I'm delighted to be here with Melissa Levenstein from Hidden Penny Farm, who's super amazing. She's going to tell you her story and a little bit of her experience with OFN. I think what I'll do to start is just do a quick overview of OFN, what it looks like. I love this this part where we get to go last because it's possible that something that you've seen in Amy's or Pammy's presentations have kind of piqued your interest, and a lot of our different platforms approach business problems in different ways. And I'd love to talk more about the features that we have and how those might, how we solve problems in the same way or in different ways. I hope that made sense. I'm going to share my screen now. I'm going to attempt to share my screen. How did I do? Did it work? Yay, okay. So Open Food Network, Melissa, like I said, is at Hidden Penny Farm, and I wanted to let you know that I have an email address and I regularly check my email. So you're allowed to email me anytime you want. And I'm gonna show you some other ways to get a hold of Open Food Network too. Just launching in, let's see, here we go. Our email address is, I'm sorry, our URL is openfoodnetwork.net. It's really easy and common for people to go to openfoodnetwork.org. And what they find is this thing that looks like us. And that's because we're actually a group of people who are implementing this open source software all over the world. So we have 20 different countries using the Open Food Network now. And we're all nonprofits and we're all working on the same code base. So open source, it kind of means that everybody already owns the software, and we all develop it as a commons and support each other. So the big benefit for us of having so many people sharing the work of developing the software is that we can really do a lot more work for a lot less money, because we're really sharing among thousands of shoppers and dozens of developers and support people all over the world. So it's kind of like we're like a tiny company in the US, but like we're a really big community globally. So that's our kind of fun advantage. Another kind of cool thing as we look at this main page is you'll notice right kind of at the top and over to the right, you'll see this word English. We're actually, from the beginning, have developed OFN to be available in multiple languages. We have everything from Turkish to Arabic to Russian to, of course, French, and even several versions of English. We have in the US, we keep it to English and Spanish. And that's really, the platform is actually presented in Spanish. So we don't do any Google Translate type stuff. So if you happen to be someone who's offering products to Spanish shoppers, or you'd like to be accessible to the Spanish speaking community, you still need to, when you describe your products, you get to decide what language you use for that. For us, the platform is independent of language. Oh yeah, we've been going, I think, since about 2014 globally, and we hit the US kind of in a serious way in about 2017. So I think we're the youngest platform here today, in the US anyway. On this main page, like Amy said, it's really cool if you can just point your customers to a specific URL and they see the store. And of course you can do that with the Open Food Network, but we also found that sometimes people actually find local food just by sort of looking around, and we have had some of our farmers say that they've gotten new customers just from this like sort of searchability function on OFN as well. So this is kind of, you know, the doorway, the front door. People can search with the map, so they can actually zoom in and do all that stuff. And we have shops from Alaska to Puerto Rico, and look at this big empty space in the middle. We need more customers there, but you'll notice that you'll see that like these green things, which are the online shops, like they tend to sort of sprout up in groups. And that's kind of because of the network part of the Open Food Network, where people can, of course, you can like open up your online shop, kind of like a Shopify shop, right? But OFN is really built for people to sell each other's products and to cross-sell, to sell through hubs, CSAs, their own online shop, a farm stand, wholesale. And that's really, you know, kind of, you know, one of the basic approaches that OFN has. So we tend to grow organically in these little groups and kind of spread like mycelium or something. We can also, a shopper who doesn't have your direct URL can also look for you by city. They can search for, if they're not sure who in their area is selling baked goods, they can search by category or by property if they're only interested in organic, or if they're only interested in biodynamic stuff, they can also search by property. And again, you get to decide as in your shopfront which categories and which properties you want to share with the sort of general public. But that's a searchability, and we'll see that that's a searchability function in the shopfront too. And speaking of which, this is my farm, Locavore Farms. It's sort of like the shoemaker's kids go barefoot. A lot of people on their main farm page have lots of info and pictures, and I just have my farm with 2 sentences. But I use this one for a demo because I can mess it up, and I'm the only one who really gets affected by it. So a couple of the things you'll see is that in the blue green box there, that's the order cycle. And of course, you can have as many order cycles going simultaneously or one after another as you want. And you can make specific order cycles available to certain kinds of customers as well. This is also a place for you to share your story and to associate yourself with other producers, whether or not they're using the Open Food Network. So we're really, as our kind of approach is really we're about growing the local food system. And, Open Food Network is a tool for doing that. And it's not the only tool, but we really try to give people ways to find local food, whether they're using Food for All or Local Food Marketplace or OFN or something else. So that's a definite possibility. This is my storefront. I have some basil and beans. I don't have basil right now. It's too cold where my farm is. But you can see that again, people can pick their order cycle. They can filter. You can see on the right there by different types of products. I can also decide to put certain categories up at the top. In all of these cases, you'll get some basic information, like there's always a unit price built in, and there's this little pie shape there at the where we have the price, and that's actually a breakdown of how much of the price the consumer pays, how much of that is going to the farmer, how much is going to the hub, what's an admin fee, what's a shipping fee, that kind of thing. So that transparency is something that we think is really critical and help shoppers be more responsible to all of the components of the food system, because we all know that no part of producing food for people is cheap or free. So yeah, there's the shop front. This is really just kind of terminology ways. I pointed out the order cycle. We have products and then sub-products that we call variants, that we invented that word before. I mean, we started using that word before COVID happened, and now it's all weird. But the variants for a product are, you can go different sizes, different flavors. If you have sausage and you want to say, I have sage sausage and Italian and sweet and breakfast, you can add those as particular variants. So it just makes shoppers, sort of makes it easier for shoppers to find you. So now you have learned everything you need to know about the Open Food Network because you have passed the terminology section of the presentation. There on that main page, and when I'm logged in, if I have a shop front or a profile, I have an administration screen, and this is the back end. This is the engine room. I'll just show you around a little bit what that looks like. This is for someone who just has a shop. There are some slightly different things available for a food hub because they're managing multiple producers. But as you can see, pretty straightforward and pretty basic. It's really, exactly what you'd expect from being able to manage your shop front. And lots of people are, it's normal. It's normal for farmers to have an online shop now. And we find that people slip into it really, really easily. This is just a screen of all the settings that you can set, I guess, in your farm shop. It's you can change a lot about how your farm looks and behaves. And I think one of the things that people are kind of blown away by with OFN is how much is possible, how extensible and flexible it is. And it's one of the things too that creates a bit of a steep learning curve for people because there's so much to discover in OFN over the years. The folks who design OFN are also farmers and techies and food hub managers and food systems folks. So we are always adding things. We do an update almost every week, really close to about 45 times a year. And that is on a fairly frequent basis. We have a product direction. I'm a former software person before I was a farmer, and it's a pretty sweet little team for building the software. It's quite professional and very people are really visionary with the work that they're doing. I'm just going to show you another part of the back end, and this is just a quick way to edit your products. Of course, you can edit your products one by one, but you can set things like your prices, your stock levels, that kinds of things right here all at once. So for someone who has a simpler retail situation, it's really minimizes the amount of time that you spend kind of managing the back end of your shop front. Order cycles. This is the way you open your shop, and this is kind of what an order cycle setup looks like. You can decide which variants go into your order cycle and which ones stay out. For example, I have a product called the Flower CSA, and I don't have any flowers right now. So I just don't include it in my order cycle. I don't have to delete my product. I don't have to change anything about the stock level. I just don't offer it. And then it's quite easy to copy or clone your order cycle so that you don't have to create a new one every time you open up your shop. Let's see, I think that's all I wanted to say about this. Oh, and this is the confirmation. This is the order confirmation. So this is what the farmer gets. The shopper gets a really similar one. So it's an email that has information about how they're paying, any notes to the farmer, what the products are that they ordered, and you know, sort of gives them information about how to contact me, the farmer, to be able to, if they want to change their order or they want to pay in a different way, or really have any questions about the order. And this was like such a 20,000 foot flyby that I hope you have some questions, but also I hope, Melissa, I'm really excited for you to keep it real. The very last thing that I wanted to say is where this is the Open Food Network user guide is really a kind of a thing of beauty. And we have pretty good, pretty responsive support by email, and we have 2 live sessions every week on Mondays and Fridays that people can drop in and ask questions. We're really, we do our best to make sure that people are operating in their, you know, sort of their region and in their local food system in the most sort of transparent, equitable, and sustainable way possible. That's really our mission. As a nonprofit, we operate by donation. So we don't spend a lot of time sending bills, and we're free to try and free to use. We often, we check in a few times a year just to see if people want to help us sort of keep the party going with a donation. So I think that's all I wanted to say. I'm going to hand it off to you, Melissa. How do I do this? I think I'll stop my share.
Okay.
Yeah, that's just you. And you don't have any slides, right?
No slides.
Okay, but you do have a cat. And
I do. She came in right at the perfect time. Oh God.
It's not Zoom without a cat, really.
I know. This is Little Bean. And I'm Melissa, and my farm is Hidden Penny Farm. I'm gonna try and get her out of here. Hidden Penny Farm, we're in Port Angeles, Washington, which is on the Olympic Peninsula. It's a really special place, kind of like the farthest northwest you can get besides Alaska in the US. And Hidden Penny Farm is a just recently certified naturally grown fruit and vegetable farm. We started the farm in 2020, February 2020, right when the pandemic happened. We started looking at online platforms because when we joined the farmers market, there wasn't really any discussion of our local farmers market closing because of the pandemic, but there were farmers markets all around us that were starting to give the customers online options, like as a hub. The whole market was offering that, and our market wasn't. They had really no interest in going online. And so me and another farm got together, a local farm, Wild Edge Farm. They do mostly meats. And we got together and we started thinking about ways that we could work together to offer online, all of our products online, because we saw it as a new opportunity. And so we spent like the whole summer looking at all different platforms. And in the end, we settled on Open Food Network. I have a bunch of notes on my phone, so I'm just gonna, if I'm not texting, I'm just looking.
Oh, she's totally texting. Yeah.
So we wanted to kind of do it in the style of a food hub where we can offer multiple products from multiple farms in one order cycle. Things that we loved about OFN when we started looking at different e-commerce softwares was that we love that it's open source. My husband is a computer software programmer, and so he sort of like taught me this ethos of the importance of open source programming. It's really democratic. I love that it's international. It actually it kind of aligns with what Lori was saying and what I believe in, that like it's a network of farmers, and it really feels that way. And it feels like a software that is like the mission aligns with my personal mission. It's really about like increasing local food access and building systems, local food systems. So I liked that about it. The main reason we chose it is because it's really easy to collaborate with other farms. Yes, I can like every week from spring till fall, I open up an order cycle for my own farm and I just list my own products. We have multiple pickup days, a midweek day, and an end of Friday. And I'll get to that later. But so I'll open it with my own products. But the really cool thing is that any other farm in our area who also has also works with Open Food Network can open up their own order cycles. And it's really easy to merge order cycles. So like if I open up an order cycle, I can very easily add meat products from the farm down the road that offers meat. If they have an order cycle open, we can just sell each other's stuff. And it's so easy, and it adds a bunch of items. It makes like I can bring all my customers in and give them like a really increased value shopping experience, because they're like, not only can I get all this produce, but I can now also shop for meat here and in one place. And then like vice versa, for the farm that offers meat products, they can also offer my produce. And so all of our customers can get all of this stuff in one place. And we love that. The other thing that Lori touched upon is that there's like this whole searchability component that I really liked. It's not just your shop, but it's also a way to find local farmers in your area who are using Open Food Network. And so I had farmers at the farmers market come up to me and say like, hey, I saw that you're on Open Food Network. I'm thinking about joining. And I was like, I didn't know you could find me. And that, like, that's how I learned that there was a searchability component, is because someone came up to me and was like, I found your farm on Open Food Network. And I really like that. It's just like another, again, like going back to that building local food systems, it's just another way for anyone, a farmer or a consumer, to like tap into what is available in their community in terms of local food. It's so user friendly. It's like, I think it took me 2 weeks, and granted, my husband is like in this tech world, so he's really supportive in this way. But it took me about 2 order cycles to get really familiar with how the software works. And I didn't even know, actually, Lori, that there were two like meetings a week that you can like get on and talk to Open Food Network
It's
people.
crazy. You should drop by. We have a
Yeah.
great time.
Yeah, that's so cool. It's like office hours. But I've never used those, but I so far haven't needed to. Yeah, it's just user friendly. I think the thing I like about the inventory setup is that for me, and it was just like I could update the products as they became available. So if I started in June, it was like, okay, so I'm going to open up an order cycle. I always open on Monday. They close on Thursday night. And it's like, oh, what do I have available this week? Okay, it's like peas, lettuce, salad mix, spinach, arugula, whatever it is. And I could just like create those 10 products that were available that week. And they were in my inventory forever. They were in my products inventory forever. And all I had to do for the rest of the summer was update how much I had available. And so each week I just added products that were available as they became harvestable. And that inventory is just there forever, or the amounts aren't, but the products are. And so it's so easy to set up. And Lori showed the screen where it's just so easy once you've created the product to just say, like, this week I have 50 pounds of that. And just like really easy to update. Lori asked me to also talk about some of the things I wish were different. And like the one thing that I always say I wish was different is it is a web-based app, and that's great for the computer, but it's like not awesome on mobile. And so I always have to do my inventory updating with pen and paper out in the field, and then come into the house at the end of the day to update. And that's like it's not like a very big deal, but I just think for like usability and efficiency, it would be awesome if I could just be like updating it in real time while I'm out in the field. And I could, it's just not as easy on a mobile screen. And another thing, it saves a lot of customer information, and something that Lori, I don't think you mentioned, but there's like this whole system with tagging that I'm not super familiar with yet, but I think you can like create categories. So like my CSA members can get a tag that like puts them in a category. Am I saying this correctly? It makes them like, it puts them in a separate group so that they will see specific things that I only want CSA members to see like from the customer end. And one thing that I haven't used yet, but I imagine as the farm grows that I would love to use, is having a wholesale tag, so that each week I can have an order cycle that is for just wholesale customers. And so all the pricing can be different, but that just has to be like a one-time change that I make. Like wholesale customers will see tomatoes listed at $2.50 a pound instead of $5 a pound. And so when I send off my like pick list to wholesale customers under the tag of wholesale, they will see the same products that I'm offering retail customers, but with a different pricing scheme. Did I get that right?
Yeah, you should do that. I think it's totally built in. And I'm excited about our mobile interface too. I'm glad you brought it up.
Oh, good.
So yeah, we're continuing to tweak it. It should be ready for, I don't know, next season.
Perfect.
Yeah.
The other thing that's awesome is there's like endless payment options, like whatever you as a customer can think of as a payment option or a delivery or pickup option, like you can set that up in the customer checkout experience. So, I mean, we've got like credit, cash, EBT. I could say like I take trades, and if like someone checked out and like wanted to trade something with me, they could offer that. Like it's really, it's like whatever you can think of. I don't know if, yeah. And then also with the delivery or pickup options, like right now or during this season, I offer picking up on farm, I offer pickup at the farmer's market, I offer delivery. Not so much this year, but during the pandemic, I was offering delivery. We have a midweek market where people can also pick up there, and it's all just like customer choice at the checkout process. And it's really easy to like go in and say one week I like, oh, can't offer pickup at the farm stand this week. It's really easy to just like remove that that option just for that single order cycle and then add it again later. It prints really nice, pretty invoices, which I like because it is something that I don't have to make myself. They're just auto-generated. Customers can leave notes that show, like when I get an email every time someone places an order, and that includes any notes that the customer leaves for me. So I can just open that email and see if someone's left me a message that they need to have an answer to before I see them at the pickup day. Let me see what else. The only thing beside that I could think of that I wish was a little different besides the mobile app interface is that it doesn't talk to Square. And I use Square as my point of sale at the farmer's market. And so when if a customer shops at the farmer's market and I run their card or they pay with cash, and I put everything into Square, and so I can keep track of my sales data, but it doesn't talk to OFN. And so the inventory isn't updated in OFN. So if I sell a pint of tomatoes at the farmer's market, OFN still shows that I have 20 pints of tomatoes available, even though now I really only have 19 available. And that would be cool if they could talk.
Yeah. We're working on that one too.
Yeah. And that's the other thing I love is that about OFN is it feels like every suggestion or idea I have, it doesn't just feel like a software that's like over there that I've purchased and now I like have to deal with it. It truly feels like a farmer programmer like relationship. And again, that might be because my husband is interactive with OFN, and so I have like this inside it's just like an inside connection, but I think regardless of that, it would feel that way. So yeah.
Cool. Melissa, can I ask you a couple questions?
Of course.
And these are things I did not tell you I was going to ask you about, but I got curious about when you were talking. Do you ever do things with fees, like add fees for when you're, doing a delivery, or like add discounts for if people pick up at the farmer's market? Have you done like a negative fee?
Oh, I haven't done a discount, but I like that idea. I didn't know that was an option. I've definitely added fees for delivery. And yeah, I think in 2020 when we were offering delivery at two different distances. It was like within the city limits, customers could check like if they lived within city limits, it was free delivery, and if they lived outside of city limits, it was I like $5 or something. So, but I like that idea of having a discount.
Yeah.
I will definitely, I can definitely think of times I would use that. Like
Totally.
if someone came to the farm stand and picked up, that would be a nice discount because I don't have to move anything. It's just like they're coming to the place where it's harvested and washed. So
yeah, you could just have a U-Pick discount too. Just like just go out there and
go
get it yourself.
Totally. That's a great idea.
Yeah, a lot of people use a discount for sort of community members who need a reduced price, or for volunteers on the farm, to also just like basically having have more of a sliding scale based on the person. So it's a way to just sort of cement relationships, right?
Can you offer like different, so right now we have just started a pay what you can farm stand on our farm. And so it would be cool if there was an online checkout option. Can you choose to have like different discounts available? So at checkout, people can choose like which discounted, what?
Yeah, I think you
Okay,
can.
that would be cool.
Yeah, there's and some producers also have, like, there's this one woman who has like a product and she has 3 different prices for the same product and people can pick whatever price they want.
That's awesome.
And yeah, and she limits the number of like very cheap ones that are available. So she like always makes, I think it's about 20% of her products are at the reduced price, and then she just explains it to her customers. And it's again like it's very culturally OFN-y to sort of, let's all just kind of help each other out type of thing. Yeah. Yeah. I'm wondering too, have you played with the subscriptions at all, which is kind of like a standing order with anybody?
I
Yeah.
do not use that. I know a bunch of new farms in the area are selling subscriptions throughout like the winter. And so one of them is on OFN. So I should see if she's doing
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. I was just curious about how it's working for you, really. And then my last question is, for your farm, how many customers do you sort of manage and take care of? And does that feel comfortable in OFN to do that?
On OFN, yeah, absolutely. I think that we get an average of 20 orders a week. And like 15 of those are regular customers, and then 5 are. And that's, I'm always trying to push the online orders. So I think marketing is a whole nother ball game. But I would love to have even more of our sales be through online.
Yeah, let's talk about subscriptions later.
Cool.
It's a great way to just like, you don't have to
Yeah.
remind people to buy stuff that they like buy once a week.
That's a great idea.
Yeah, pretty easy to tweak around and everything. And congratulations on your certified naturally grown.
Thank you. I just saw that that's like can be one of the searchable things on
Yeah,
OFN.
right. Yeah. So that's pretty cool. And we're actually kind of buddies organizationally with CNG and folks like that. So awesome. Do you have anything else you want to add, Melissa?
I don't think so. I think I got all the notes I wrote.
Okay,
Talked about everything.
Awesome. Yeah, well, thank you. And I probably like hogged up all the questions, but I was really curious about your operation because I don't think we've ever talked about your operation before. So we just did it in public.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Lori and Melissa. I did feel like we were all there for a little OFN office hours.
Thank you for coming to our special time together.
Yeah, thank you so much. Well, I would love to actually, I think, it looks like we might have lost Andrea, but I think Lori had some great questions there, and I would love it if Liz might be willing to let us know also if there's anything that you feel is missing from a local food marketplace that you wish you had.
Nothing comes immediately to mind, but let me think about it.
Okay, yeah, fair enough.
Liz, I'm sure you would, based on discussions with Shannon about online EBT.
Yep.
Yeah.
I think everybody wants that.
Yeah.
Totally.
It's in the works. Yeah.
Okay, so then on the reverse of that, I guess, like if this software suddenly disappeared tomorrow, like what would have you panicking? What would you be missing? What's like the number one feature that makes your work easier?
Well, as a food hub, I do not know how we would do our work without this software. We definitely couldn't do it for free. So we don't charge farmers anything to sell through our platform. There's an upcharge for customers, so that is, the cost is passed right along to customers. And I just can't imagine a situation in which we could do that work and not have to pass along the cost to farmers.
That makes sense. Yeah, I mean, you would have some pretty wicked spreadsheets, I imagine, if you didn't. Melissa, do you have a favorite feature that you'd be devastated if you lost OFN?
I guess just not specifically. I just think e-commerce in general has been such a game changer for our business. And I mean, this is the first farm I've ever owned and run. And so I've never not had e-commerce as part of my business. And it's awesome. And I think my customers are comfortable with OFN. It's what they've been using since the beginning. And so I think that would probably just be the hardest thing, is getting used to something new if we had to.
Yeah, fair enough. Also, good on you for keeping at it. If you're launching in February 2020, I think that would be hard to say, let's keep moving forward. But it sounds like you're doing great, so good for you. I guess I'm interested too, since these platforms do offer you so much data on the back end. If either of you have been able to use that data, it's given you insights into changing your practices, or if there's anything that's been particularly illuminating in that kind of data that you get.
I feel I feel like there's so much that I haven't, and maybe this would be a good thing to go to OFN open office hours for, but because I feel like I have not tapped into the data that's available. I use a lot of the reports weekly, especially when I collaborate with other farmers, like supplier, distributor totals. But so far, end of season data, that would be helpful to look at. Sales data, I actually haven't. And that's where another reason where it'd be so cool if it could collaborate with Square, because it would be so awesome to have all of those sales in one place. But no, I haven't quite yet.
We definitely have. We have definitely seen it impact the way producers are planting. We have a pretty short growing season here, so tomatoes are available July through September. And we're able to use data to show producers that hey, if you have a greenhouse and you could heat it and have tomatoes available in May or in June, the data kind of shows that you would easily sell all of those. We also are kind of delving into the world of food as medicine in the form of produce prescription boxes and things like that. And it's been really useful to be able to pull reports that show that in January, these are the types of products that have been listed on the marketplace in the past 2 years, and be able to project that next year, if we had funding to buy 50 boxes worth of produce every week, we could actually buy in that quantity, which has helped with grant funding and things like that.
Yeah, excellent point. I'm a data geek, and I love seeing especially trends over the years, but if you are a nonprofit, having that kind of data to share with funders is so valuable, and really informs your ability to make good decisions on expanding programming. So you can see, I need more data systems in my life. I guess, I know all of these tools also have a variety of add-on features or integrations. Do you find any particular pairing that you have made for your site that makes your work easier? Or I don't know if you integrate any email marketing or any other relationship management software or any number of things. No.
Amy might be able to speak more to this, but I believe LFM integrates with MailChimp. We don't use MailChimp because our listserv grew too big.
Yeah, we do have a MailChimp integration, which after a certain point you do have to pay for. I forget how many, it's about 1,500. I think they charge for after that many people on your list, or maybe it's 2,000. But yeah, it's an integration with contacts, but also sales data. So you can use their automations to basically send emails to people that haven't placed an order in a certain amount of time, or send emails to people that have, certain subscriptions, or maybe subscribed to something last year. So so lots of different ways you can utilize the data out of the system to create MailChimp automations. Yep.
Well, and I will add that even though we don't use MailChimp, we've been able to target certain customers who are in a certain zip code or have a certain city or county on their billing address. And especially we've moved towards satellite pickup locations lately. That has helped us be able to narrow the universe of people.
Very cool. On that note too, I'd be interested to know, how do you guys market your online store? I'm sure, it sounds like Melissa, you kind of started the farm and the store at the same time and used it really as your way to meet customers where they were. But how do you drive traffic to your store?
I just have a weekly newsletter. So really two ways, but marketing is not my strong point, but I wish it was. But so a weekly newsletter I open up the shop on Mondays and then send the newsletter. And a lot of customers, the regulars, are just familiar with the cycle. And so every Monday, whether they open the email or not, they're usually looking at Open Food Network. Or if I don't open it on time, they'll email me and be like, why have you not opened your order cycle yet? And then social media is the other one. And sometimes there will be periods of time where I'll collect email addresses at the farmers market, and then say, especially if I'm ending my farmers market season but still have products to sell that I'll only be selling online, I will push the I'll collect email addresses to say, we won't be here at the market until next spring, but we'll still be selling online.
I would say much the same for us. We've actually found that most people find us through word of mouth, which is great, but also kind of frustrating when we're trying to build our customer base. We do have a weekly newsletter as well, and we're lucky to share space with the cooperative extension in our county, and have found that they're a really great resource and a trusted resource for farmers and for consumers.
Definitely. Yeah. That sounds like a great relationship to have. You're both ideally supporting producers. So that's great. I would like to offer it up again. If anybody has any questions in the room, wants to just shout them out, please feel welcome to. I guess, I feel like you've really have been pretty thorough in your discussions. I'm running out of questions. And honestly, I feel like I've learned so much about e-commerce over these 4 sessions that it is I can see how producers are overwhelmed with the options and with the capabilities. So I do really appreciate hearing from all of you about what you can do. And sorry, I got some sirens going by me at the moment. But yeah, this has been great. I'd open it up again if anybody has any questions, or if you guys would like to toss any thoughts out.
I've said this before, and maybe this is like more of a end of meeting thing to say, but I'm really just so impressed and grateful that there are so many farmers all over who are, making farmers and hubs, Liz. There's like folks who are just like ready to do what it takes to feed their neighbors in their regions. And the folks that are, showing up to offer tools to do that are likewise so dedicated. And it's so impressive that we can, make that happen. And it's not a new thing for either of us that, e-commerce is, like people discovered it in 2020, but, Amy's been doing this for more than a decade, and, farmers have been farming for a really long time. So I think, what the tools that we've been looking at over the past 4 sessions are really just like, an addition and augmentation to, really a tradition of small farming and local food systems that is really just a joy and an honor to be part of. So it's not a question, that's a comment.
No, I appreciate it. I agree entirely. I mean, I think I'm grateful that folks like you guys exist and that you're doing what you do. And I hope, that someday we will all be existing in an environment where everybody has access to locally grown healthy foods and without it being a cost burden or anything, and we can all, live in that society.
Mhm.
Well, yeah, if there aren't any other questions, I would wrap it up, but I'd offer, I don't know, Amy, if you have any final thoughts, or Cami.
I don't have any other big ideas. I just wanted to thank you for putting this together. And I do think there's just a lot of opportunity. And I think the pandemic, and going back to that, I think it showed us how important farms are to creating a resilient food system, and how being flexible, nimble, and quick to adjust is a huge competitive advantage that small farms are able to do, whereas our bigger supply chain that is pervasive in our food system is not able to do that. And so we have and we have tools at our disposal now that like the ones that you all have been hearing about for the last 8 weeks or so, that can make, sort of level that playing field, and yet still have some of those other competitive advantages, the ability to steer the ship a different direction when we need to really quickly. So, yeah.
Thank you.
And Cassidy, just from, Food for All's perspective, just, thanks again for hosting this event. And it's been a real pleasure, getting to, not only be on stage with Local Food Marketplace and Open Food Network, but, getting to better understand the folks and the technology behind each one of these platforms. So that is an extra plus. And I know that this will be valuable for that broader audience of farmers and food hubs. So thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I appreciate that you guys all have very great ethos and are not. I've been in contact with some other e-commerce platforms that are kind of aggressive in their management. I appreciate you all.
No idea who that would be.
All right, we're good. I'm not naming names. Lisa G did have a question about how many farmers would be optimal on an online hub without crowding the opportunity. And I have some thoughts about this, but I would welcome anybody else's input on that one.
I, from our perspective, we can support as many, as many as show up. And we've definitely I've never seen a situation where it's like, oh, too bad there's too many opportunities to buy local food. Like there's still a lot of headroom. But Cami and Amy, you guys might have some good perspective too.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Cami.
Yeah, I was just going to say, looking at it from a customer standpoint, so one who is going to a hub in order to make a purchase, I think what's important is having the ability for that consumer to fill their shopping cart. And so, there's not necessarily an optimal number of producers who are participating, but I think that you want a whole experience for that consumer, so that they are going back, week over week, and you are their, you are their grocery store per se. So that, that's what I would look for when launching a food hub or trying to fill out the producers who are participating in a food hub.
I'd like to comment on that too, because we run into this question a lot. Hidden Penny Farm and the other farm that we collaborate with in sort of like trying to create a mini food hub that is producer run. It's not run by like an outside agency or like managed by anyone other than the farmers. And it's definitely a conversation that we've run into a couple times, because like if I am offering carrots and Wild Edge Farm, that's the other farm we collaborate with, they're mostly meat, but they do have some vegetables. And like if they're also offering carrots, it's like there is like a naturally competitive nature that we have to sort of address. We don't want to like undersell each other. And so oftentimes, because we don't have like an outside agency running our food hub, or it's really just like I will open up a Hidden Penny Farm shop, and I will include products from from Wild Edge Farm, or Wild Edge Farm will open up their own shop and include products from Hidden Penny Farm. Sometimes we won't include each other's products if they overlap with each other. And that's how we figured out how to work around it. I think like what we ultimately want to get to is that there's someone else managing a food hub that many more farmers, not just us two, can all be a part of. And in that case, like the food hub would set the guidelines and the rules. And like, of course, we'd want the farmers to be like part of that discussion, but like that, like hopefully we get to that point. But yeah, there is sort of like that question of how do we offer the same products on and on, because when you're at the farmers market and shoppers are shopping, it just has like a different feel when they're scrolling through an online store and you just see like repetitions of products. And yeah, so that's our perspective.
Yeah, makes sense.
I think to answer the question, it really it has a lot to do with what kinds of customers you're selling to, what that sales volume looks like, and whether that can all be satisfied by a single farm, or if more farms are needed to meet the overall demand, and or if there are other requirements. So I would say most of our hub customers, like High Country, or any hub that's sort of scaling beyond just those initial stages, there is some replication of products, and sometimes it's very organized and there's rules around that, and like what you're going to get for it, like in a producer cooperative model, where it's like there's a primary and secondary producers of a product. And in other times it's more hub managed, where the hub is in charge of organizing, okay, well, these 2 or 3 farms are really kind of small and they're best to serve our, our direct to consumer sort of sales channel. And then these other farms, you know, they're large and they're GAP certified and they, you know, have these other qualifications that we can't sell the products from those smaller farms to our larger buyers. And so we need these larger farms or maybe more mature farms to do that. And the great thing I think about all of this is like, yes, is it technically competition? But it's also, you know, not really thinking of it as a zero-sum game. There's so much more opportunity for those sales to happen than are currently there. And so those larger farms where, you know, they have cost advantages and, you know, there's all sorts of things that they can do, but they also do create stability of supply for the hub, which can enable those small farms to pop in and out with their supply, that if it were just all small farms, it may be a lot more challenging for that hub to reach those bigger buyers and start pulling the supply of those smaller farms up with them. So I see a lot of different, you know, ways that's done by our customers, but I think it can benefit everybody, even those that have some cost disadvantages in the setup. So, yeah.
Yeah, thank you. All right, so Lisa, I think the answer to the question, as is the answer to so many, it depends.
It depends.
It depends on, yeah, the level of complexity you're willing to manage, the goals that you have, the people you're interacting with. So I think it's just, you're going to need to ask yourself some questions on that one. All right, well, I think we're gonna wrap it up if there's no other questions coming in. So I do want to say once again, thank you so much. Thank you to each of you, Lori, Amy, Cami, Stephanie, Pammy, even though she's left now. And thank you so much to our guests, Melissa, Liz, and Andrea. Thank you so much for giving us your time. It was great to hear about your experiences. I'm going to launch a really quick poll. So it's just a quick 2-question evaluation, so please fill that out. And I do want to say one more time, a big thank you to Illinois Farm Bureau for making this possible. Please do go ahead and visit their website to see the other opportunities available, and then join us in January at the Specialty Crop Conference. And if you would like to review any of these sessions, you can catch up with all of those on our YouTube channel. These are all in their own playlist, and we'll be sending them out to everybody who has registered. And that's it. So I really hope you have an excellent holiday break. I hope that you all get some rest, and take it easy. Stay warm. Thank you.